Hello. Hello. I think working. Okay. So Dave's walking around in the hallway because he's going to sport and it's a bit off-putting. So if we just wait a few minutes, then we can get going. But yeah, for the moment I'm a little bit jumpy because there's the walking around going on. But hello, Cam already here, and who else is here? Jump in the live chat. Hey, Paper Vampire. Yeah, the snow over in Europe made it onto the news. Today it felt cold enough here and it was only like 20 degrees, never mind minus whatever you guys have. More walking around. Oh my gosh, a nervous neuron, wow. Are you guys all doing the chaos? Yeah, so what, like, it just seems like there's heaps of snow. But yeah, I mean, Europe has chaos in general, right? With yeah, everything basically. Australia is looking like a pretty good place to be at the moment. I mean, there's always stuff going on and there's always arguments going on, and oh my gosh, just catching up on some of the news. I'm like, yeah, all right, same old shit, eh? Only going to be 50% here. Yeah, no worries. Trains and roads just don't work with this much snow. Yeah, fair enough. I think he's going. Nope, I didn't hear the door close yet. Yeah, well, the thing about Australian or Sydney public transport, Sydney trains, it doesn't work sometimes just because it's Sydney trains. Although over the last little while, I haven't heard too much trouble. All right, he's gone. I can. Ah! Oh, octopus dude! Yay! Alrighty. Yeah, no. Ahoy! When's Talk Like a Pirate Day? Did I miss it? I never really know when it's on until like afterwards, because that's when all the Americans start posting, and then for us it's like a day late. Yeah, so I got my hair did. September, yeah, well, I'm way off, hey. I don't know when these days are. There's like a day for everything. And, you know, people just constantly make up days. Oh, hello! September 17th. Wow, we even know the exact date. Yeah, well, I always forget when it's on. Today we've got another Doctor Who cup, but it's my TARDIS cup. I don't know if I'm going to watch Doctor Who when it comes back on. When does that start? I thought it was this month, but I haven't been following, and it doesn't seem like it gets advertised much. But yeah, after... I did watch the Christmas New Year special, and I think it wasn't horrible. So do I keep giving Doctor Who a chance? I don't know. It's just like the writing. It's so frustrating. Oh, I don't even know where to begin. And like, oh, I can't even. It was done, as far as I can remember, on a tennis court, same as the Manhattan Project, and that's how I remember it. Hey, Talk Like a Pirate Day on a tennis court. Wow, there's tennis in Australia at the moment, down in Melbourne, and like, yeah, I struggle to care, but that's about all I know about tennis. Yeah, in Melbourne, and all the tennis players had to go through hotel quarantine, and they're all complaining about it. Well, not all of them, but a bunch of them were complaining about it, and it's like, you signed up for this. You're getting paid for this. Like, come on. There's so many people who want to come home and they can't, because we're only accepting a certain number of people into our hotel quarantine. And then these tennis players get paid to come here and they complain. I'm just like, oh my gosh, at least you can play. And like, here, your chances of getting sick are so much less. A load of people got infected. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. But speaking of like hotel quarantine, I was just seeing on the news about the UK are trying it, and supposedly they've asked us for advice, but the way that they're doing it is just like, I mean, I suppose it's better than nothing, but the UK is just, I haven't been keeping up because it just got a bit much. But what I was hearing of them is just like they're constantly yo-yoing in and out of restrictions, and oh, they can't make up their mind, and everything they do is so weak. And no wonder things are bad there. It's just like, come on, some leadership. Like they're an island. You've got water-based borders. It makes it easier than like, if you're in the middle of Europe. Oh no. But I mean, they've got Bojo who went around shaking everyone's hand and then wondered why why he was in hospital himself afterwards. And I can't even. And the whole COVID stuff is why I stopped watching Mel and Baker, because I just like I can't deal with any more UK stuff. And then some of the comments that he himself was making, like doubting a lot of things, and I'm just like, this isn't helpful. And you're looking very much at a UK perspective and very much at the UK policies and the yo-yoing rather than the broader perspective. And I think Australia's done pretty well. Like, yes, we had restrictions, but like it's paid off. And drones on the beach checking people out. But like, it's just because we're lazy. It's not because we're a police state. We just use the little drones because it's easier than walking up and down the sand. It's not everything like that is like a surveillance state, Big Brother or whatever. Sometimes it's just because we're lazy, and like, you can keep people safer with broader technology. Like it's the same thing with making sure people don't drown. If you fly a drone over there, you can see more people than you can on your bloody binoculars. The restrictions are so messed up. It doesn't end up doing anything except annoying people. Exactly, yeah. So like I can kind of see what Malin Baker's perspective was as someone who lives there and is in this constant yo-yo. But like, if you're trying to run a political channel, especially like with the health crisis, it's like maybe look a little bit out. And I did try and give a bit of an Aussie perspective, but his channel's gotten so big that he doesn't have time for the rest of us. And I don't think he ever really cared about Australia. It's just like, let's use Melbourne as an example of a police state. And I'm like, that's not. I mean, Melbourne has had its issues, but I think also, I don't know a lot about Melbourne, but I think there are geographical and demographic things that are a little bit trickier compared to Sydney. Like when the Northern Beaches had their outbreak, there's only like 2 bridges in and out. You just cut them off. It's very easy. And there's a lot of wealthy people. Not everyone there is wealthy, but there's a lot. So they're fine. And it was during Christmas. So for Centrelink, all the mutual obligations were already suspended and blah, blah, blah. Like it's just easier here for that sort of thing. Oh shit, there's lots of comments. Where am I up to? Keeping pubs open until 10 p.m. was breaking point for a lot of people. You could keep the pub open longer, though, if they served food. Where's the sense? I think they don't want drunk people running around. Because if you're drunk, you're less likely to do sensible things like either wear a mask or not spit on people, or I don't know. I think that might be it, is they're worried about what drunk people do, but then I'm not a health person. This is just my own personal theory. And then if you serve food, people are more likely to be sitting down in one spot and not moving around. Plus, they've already got something in their stomach for the alcohol. Like the alcohol isn't just hitting their stomach empty, maybe. I don't know. Melon's still doing does lockdown work videos? Fuck. Yeah, I did see like YouTube showed me a few more of his thumbnails, and I did see that, and I was like, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to look. Oh, yeah, I just, and also because the channel for a while was just like constant COVID, America, 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 and like I got a little bit bored with it, and also I think I sort of maxed out on politics for a bit, and so I was just like, yeah, I'm going to move on. So what I'm watching at the moment are tear down videos of smartphones, which like I don't actually give a crap about what's inside a smartphone. Really, not really. But when I was looking up this phone, and I've also been occasionally looking at like what tips people have found, like what are the good things that I should know about it. And I came across, I think the channel is called Jerry Rig Everything, and he breaks apart phones. So when there's a new phone, he does like a scratch test and bend test and like basically a durability test. And then the next video, he actually opens up the phone and shows you all the components. And he's basically destroying this expensive, like so many expensive bits of technology, but he does it with the most calm voice ever. And I'm just like, yeah, this is great. I don't care about what the actual technology is. Just like destroy that phone with that soothing voice. Fuck yeah. And then occasionally he'll look at a phone that has like an interesting design, like the folding phones. And, I didn't realize that the screens were so fragile. I mean, it makes sense now because how do they get the glass to fold? It must be like pretty dodgy glass, like soft glass. But yeah, no, he actually shows how fragile that all is. And so there's something like that are interesting. Like, how do they get the phones to fold? And all that. But yeah, mostly it's the breaking stuff. And then there's jokes like, I didn't realize that there was an iPad. I didn't realize there was an iPad version that folded really easily, like actually broke if you tried to bend it. And he made a joke referring to it as like, talking about folding phones, and he listed the iPad in it. And I was just like, oh my God. And then there's been ones where when he's doing scratch tests, on the back of the phone or the device, he like draws a little picture every now and then. And I'm just like, wow, like it's art at the same time, right? So yeah, I know that's Jerry Rig Everything that I've been watching a little bit. And like, late at night, I mean to go to bed, and then I'm just ASMR destruction would be an interesting genre. Hey, if I ever get around to doing one of my own ASMR videos, I guess I'll break stuff. Crazy pub restriction. Oh yeah, you guys are talking together. But yeah, no, ASMR destruction. And hell knows, like, those feet people who are always getting who used to always ask me to step on stuff. I mean, if you turned it into some kind of ASMR destruction, I'm sure they'd be right into that. I know Mikey has stumbled onto videos here and there where like someone's laid out a bunch of stuff and then runs it over with a car tire, and it's doing break that shit. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, I suppose I could. It's so hard to like. I'm having that problem where I have lots of video ideas, but I also just don't have time to get everything done in between life and being distracted, and I have to occasionally maintain the plants outside. ASMR destruction would be great, like smash 100 smartphones with a hammer. I'm not that rich. But and YouTube seemed to prefer me having the Alienware rather than the smartphone. Although that last one where I was looking at the OtterBox case, that video has taken longer to tail off, and I think it's actually doing better than the Alienware video still. I don't know, like those statistics are weird. Samsung Dex, yes, I have tried it, and like because the first time I plugged it into my computer, it came up with this thing saying you can do this thing if you download this thing. So I downloaded the thing, which I trusted because it was a Samsung thing, and I don't just randomly download stuff when I'm told to. And then like I plugged it in, and my phone was like a desktop computer, and I was just like, what? And you can use the mouse and the keyboard, and it's cool, but I already have a desktop computer. I'm plugging the phone into my desktop computer to use my phone as a desktop computer. And I was just like, this is a bit odd. I'm not really sure what I would do for that, because I didn't buy the phone with the intention of it being a desktop computer. I bought it mainly for the cameras, if we're being honest. And then I needed a phone, so two birds, one stone. And then what else? I don't game, so like this phone really is overkill. But you guys know me. If I'm going to spend money, it's probably going to be overkill. I spend nothing for ages, and then all of a sudden, boom. And I haven't really used the earbuds anywhere except when I've been testing them. So like I've told mum, look, mum, you're more likely to use them than me. If you want them, you can have them, because they were free, right? But she hasn't taken up that offer. And I also said, like, if you're around the house and you need to use them, you know where they are. They're on my desk, and so far I don't think she's touched them. But yeah, no, it is overkill. I'm using it in work to avoid privacy policies. So I'm using it to do coursework when I'm alone on the night shift. Oh, okay. Interesting. I have heard that like with certain TVs you can plug in the phone and use Dex that way, and I feel like that's a bit more useful like if you're out and about, or if say you don't have a desktop computer, and you can plug in like all these different things and use your phone as a computer, because like this thing has more RAM than my old computer, and it's probably faster in every way too. Like the only thing that it has that's probably smaller than my old computer is the storage, and that's just because it's like a solid state rather than the massive hard drives I had in there. And I mean, look at the size of this thing. My computer from, was it 2011? I don't know. Let's not even talk about my even older Mac. But yeah, no, it's just like I feel old. Oh my gosh. Someone at work today asked if I was studying, and I was just like, a customer, and I'm so done with studying. Like I'm oh man. Oh, let me just remember to have my tea sometimes, hey. I know, like, I should probably time everything so that I'm not drinking tea in the middle of a live stream, but the thing is, we have dinner around about 7 and we watch the ABC News. And then then there's the 7:30's on afterwards. And yeah, I don't always watch it because like it's not as robust as the news. Like the news is as much as possible just trying to tell you what happened. Like the news doesn't have as much of an agenda. They're not trying to push anything. They're not trying to sensationalize it most of the time. Occasionally they slip into having a little bit of bias. And then there's some things that like, yeah, it's like, okay, I can understand why they would say it that way because it's like widely accepted, even if I don't necessarily agree with something. But 7:30, the show on afterwards, some of the reporters definitely have an agenda. Like the one that annoyed me the most was the reporter who like has an autistic kid, and so every time she did a report on autism, it'd be very biased. And like I've grown up, I think the kid must have like a milder autism, and I've grown up around people with severe autism, and it just frustrates me when people have like one experience with an autistic person and they think they understand everything. And yeah, the reports, because like there are schools that specifically cater to people with special needs, and if your kid qualifies, you should probably send them there because they can get specialized help. But no, people sometimes insist on sending them to a regular public school that isn't resourced, and then wonder why things don't work out. I mean, there are some things that probably aren't being done right, but there's also like the parent side. They're letting their ego get in the way. And I mean, there's all this, like, there's been a few stories, so I have to be vague because there's so many that I'm just thinking of, but it just frustrates me. And so whenever her reports came up, I was just like, oh my God, I can't. Anyway, so like some of the reporters do have an agenda, and it's not as balanced reporting. Even if they say they tried to contact so-and-so, like they just don't understand that. Anyway, no, that's not the point of it. So 7:30, that's on afterwards. The point was my tea, not like complaining about a biased TV show. But also like at the end of 7:30, I think on Thursdays sometimes they have this comedian, and they always have to introduce him as a satirist, whatever his name is. And I'm just like, if he's a satirist, we should just be able to tell. Like if he's funny, you wouldn't need to introduce him as a comedian, but he's so bad. I like ABC's sense of humor. I think they're trying to be like Channel 10 or something. Like it's really crass a lot of the time. And anyway, and like, whereas before when Clark and Daw were doing their bit, like it was very minimalist, and like they actually got not only their political point across, like making fun of politicians, but like they made it funny without slapping you in the face saying, hey guys, this is funny, you should be laughing. Like they didn't need to do that. But this guy that they get on 7:30, sometimes I'm just like, go away, like we'll just turn it off. We change channel as soon as they announce that he's doing some garbage, because I can't stand it. Anyway, I've gone off topic again, but the whole point of talking about the news in 7:30, this is my family's habit. He is horrendous. Just don't. Oh, and the ABC has a lot of bad comedy. Like Hard Quiz is one of the few comedy things the ABC ever gets right. I just anyway. So my family's routine is we tend to have dinner around the same time that we're watching the news. Mum watches like every news show from about 4 o'clock, I think, like, you know, Channel 10, Channel 9, Channel 7, ABC, but not the SBS. But no, we sit down together, we watch the news, and we have dinner. And then I usually have my cup of tea. But then I've got to be live streaming at 8 o'clock, and there's not enough time for me to have my tea and then come and sit down. Or if I were to live stream first and then go get my tea, it would be too late at night, and I would be peeing in the middle of the night, like, which is just not what you want. You want to actually sleep. So yeah, I have been having patchy sleep. But you know, that's probably because I go to bed late, and then Mikey's yelling at 5 sometimes at 5, but usually 5 something. I'm not a morning person, but my family are morning people. So yeah, I need to try and get that sleep in the middle of the night. And so if I'm not peeing in that middle bit where everything's quiet, that's good. I might actually get some sleep. So yeah, that's why I'm always drinking tea when I come on these live streams. It's just how it times out. Anyway, it's hard to breathe through my nose because I've been having hay fever, and I finally went to my doctor. I don't even know what I've already talked to you guys about, especially because the like last 2 live streams were just so patchy. But yeah, no, I've been getting frustrated with my hay fever again, and like I think I started to get that sort of feeling like you're getting sick, which I was just like, I know this is my hay fever, and I need to deal with it so that if I were to catch COVID somehow, I would actually know. I know, right? Hay fever and COVID. So I went to my doctor and talked to her about kids Dimetap, and she's like, yeah, you can have that whenever. So I got myself my own private stash rather than in the family stash of, you know, the medicine cupboard, whatever. Thing is, I think kids Dimetap also makes me drowsy. Like, it doesn't make me depressed like Claritine did, but yeah, I think it makes me drowsy. And I even tried the kids dose, and then I had lower than a kids dose, and I don't know. I think there's a point where it probably doesn't help my nose as much, and it's like, I think I just need to get the timing right, because if I can take some Dimetap and then get drowsy right as I need to sleep anyway, that would be ideal, because then it kind of lasts for a bit after I've taken it, like the hay fever side of things. But yeah, no, I haven't figured out the timing. I haven't figured out the dosage. I will say though, like, I think the kids Dimetap, like, you can get the same ingredients in adult Dimetap, but the good thing about kids Dimetap is because it's a liquid, I can actually measure it out and have less if I need to. Because the way my body is, pee in the middle of the night is worse than water boy. It's worst in winter because, like, your bed is nice and warm, outside is freezing, and you don't want to have to get up and pee in that situation. At the moment, it's not too bad because it's still summer here. Although it's a weird summer because, like, it hasn't been too hot, which is good. I'm not complaining. I'm enjoying this summer. It's just like, do we still call it summer? It's like we just sort of skipped from spring to autumn almost. You know, there's only been 1 or 2 really hot days. I can't even remember. But it's good for the bonsai because, like, I'm kind of, when I'm working on my own plants, I'm a bit distracted. And so I don't always do things at the right time of year. So yeah, I've been able to, like, work on things for longer without worrying about them getting heat damage, and whatever. So yeah, that's been good for my bonsai habits. And yeah, no, so Wednesday is my bonsai day. And it was actually a really crazy sort of day. It's just, I mean, there was the usual work to do, but there was also like a few different customers. Like it's been busy in that sense, and yeah, and it's a family run business, and so my boss had to take his dog to the vet. Been having some problems, kind of worried about her, but yeah, it's just like there's all sorts of things going on, and I sold a bonsai today. I've finally sort of graduated to that level. I did have to ask my sensei. My sensei was in today. I did have to ask her, exactly what dates to write down for the free service and when it needs repotting. Yay. But otherwise, I was able to run the customer through, like, all the things. Is it for you? Is it for a gift? And, like, here's all the things you need to know. Here's all the things you need to pass on. ABC. Huh? Yeah, so slowly learning all the things. And it helped that it was a species that I'm more familiar with. The ones that like I feel less always be closing up. Oh no, the lady was gonna buy it anyway, but just trying to make sure that she's got all the care information. It was a gift, so what, ABCD? Oh, but yeah, no, I was able to run her through all the things, and I think she's sort of got the idea, and yeah. So it's just the species that I'm less familiar with. I feel less comfortable selling because, like, I don't always know what to look for if in terms of like whether they're pests. Like on figs, easier. I know what a healthy fig looks like, and junipers and those sort of more common ones. But every now and then, like, an unusual plant pops up, and like maybe it'll have an odd leaf color, and I'm just like, oh, is that meant to be like that? And there are some bugs that, like, I struggle to recognize still, especially like really tiny things, and there are some that, like, you can't really see with the naked eye, and so, like, trying to figure out whether a plant, I mean, we get sick plants in as well that we have to I guess resuscitate or rehabilitate, and for me, like, recognizing whether something has like damage from drying out, or if it has damage from a pest, or if it has damage from like flooding. Like, flooding a plant can sometimes look similar to it drying out. That just, like, knowing the difference between the things, that's something I need to work on. And then my boss has asked if I'm interested in maybe assisting in some classes. And like maybe eventually teaching as well, which like just beginners, because I wouldn't really think of myself as teaching more advanced levels. But yeah, that's something that could happen, like, not anytime soon, but maybe a year or so down the track. Yeah, so that could be interesting, especially because my finance job, my work from home finance job, I don't know how long I'm going to have that. So it's nice to have bonsai as something else that I could be doing more of once I lose the finance job. So yeah, things are happening, and I'm learning more, making progress with my bonsai life. There were 3 trees I had to put in basically ICU today. I think my boss got them to a point where, like, they can handle being repotted, and then they need to be put into a plastic pot with like perlite. And I don't know if this applies all over the world, but for our conditions, we have a mix that we use for ICU. And so once the tree is safe enough to be moved into that, we put it into that so that it can recover, because a bonsai pot is very small and restricted. So, I mean, a sick plant, you don't really want to repot it. It depends what's wrong with it. But if you want it to grow and properly recover, then we put it in a plastic pot, give it the soil mix, and yeah, that seems to help them recover. And then once they're healthy, you can put them back in a bonsai pot. We don't really call it a breed, I guess, like a species. For the trees, I quite like figs. I think I agree with my sensei. She's been writing a book about like all about figs. It's taken a few years. I'm not sure. I think she's close to finishing it, but then things get updated. So yeah. No, figs, like Australian native figs, the sort of rainforest tree, they're at least in Sydney conditions, they're reasonably easy to look after. They grow nicely, like they grow fast enough that you can see things happening. They're hardy, and then you get like these little aerial roots that just pop out all over the place. And some people keep them, some people chop them off. It's kind of interesting to see what happens with some of them. Yeah, I think they're kind of a fun tree to work with. There are some things that I've struggled with some of my own because I like pushed one a bit too hard. So that they're fun. I've got some Moreton Bay figs. I might have some that are a different species, but I don't remember what they are. I also quite like Chinese elms. Technically, they're a deciduous tree, but in Sydney conditions, they often don't lose their leaves in winter. But yeah, Chinese elm, they grow very quickly. Once they start growing, it's like boom. Check out Polonium. I don't know what that is. Let me just quick Googling. I'm not familiar with that one. Oh, foxglove tree, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. The thing about like different bonsai is it depends a bit on your local conditions. Like in Sydney, like a Japanese maple is very difficult to, you know, look after and keep it alive and make sure it's free of pests and so on. So there are some trees that will work, you know, overseas or maybe like further north, further south in Australia, that might not work in Sydney conditions. So, you know, that can kind of limit what trees you get exposed to. Yeah, sorry, my nose is really like. But yeah, so yeah, it depends on your local conditions. But I think for me, I like the figs and Chinese elm. I mean, junipers are very popular. They have a very traditional shape, but then they do grow a bit slowly, and I guess I'm not really as much of a traditional person. The other thing about junipers is they take so much maintenance. Every now and then we get customers who bring them in, and a lot of them look well looked after, but occasionally you'll get one that's basically turned into a shrub, and trying to clean it up bit by bit, it's a very time-consuming process. You usually, you take the downward pointing branches and some other undesirable branches like crossing. It depends a bit how much the tree has. You don't want to take too much off, but like to get the design looking good. And then, you know, those ones probably need a bit more wiring as well. So they look really nice when they've been worked on, but I guess for myself with my own stuff, maybe I don't have so much patience. And then because of the neglect when I've been depressed on and off, mine don't look great. None of my trees really look great, at least not to me. Sometimes people are like, oh, I really like that one. And I guess because I'm used to a different standard, I'm a bit more judgmental of my bonsai. But in terms of like what's fun to grow, I would say fig and Chinese elm for Sydney conditions. Let me just try and finish my tea. Okay, that's done. Are those ones fancy? Which one's fancy? Which ones? The junipers? Juniper is like, I'm pretty sure the one on my, oh no, that's a pine. That might be a black pine. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell exactly what kind of pine on this. I'm live streaming just direct from my webcam today, so I can't show you pictures. Just because the OBS is annoying to set it up and then to make sure I get the right picture in there. And it's just easier to turn up here. But no, junipers, I don't know how much you guys have watched my mess of bonsai videos, but if you've seen my cascade ones, in the big, tall, fancy pots. I'm sure I uploaded one of them like in the past year, and they sort of cascade down the side. I've got mine and Mum's, and they're junipers. Well, I mean, I can try on my phone, but I think the way that the webcam sees things is just not very helpful. Juniper. We'll see. Try juniper bonsai and see if I can find something. Oh my god, it's that guy on YouTube. Yeah, some of his advice, like some of it's good, but some of his advice, I just it's hard to see the leaf structure. Like if you can't see the leaf structure, how can you guys tell the difference between that and this? You're only playing. Well, they often look like that more traditional. It's not focusing. Well, you know, the traditional look of a bonsai, a lot of them are junipers or else pines. And I think that's probably Japanese black pine. I don't know. Black pines. Yeah, I haven't done much with black pines. My boss gave me a black pine. It was a weird one with this weird root and root system. And so, you know, one day I might make it into a crazy root over rock sort of thing, but it's got a long way to grow. And yeah, I really need to learn how pines work as well. So that's a long-term project, learning how to work with those black pines. Because they have like a specific way that you're meant to do things, and I've only learned a few things like removing like last year's pine needles. Seriously, like my nose is half blocked and it's super distracting, and that's why I've got to have kids time attack. But because it makes me sleepy, obviously I don't take it right before I need to drive, or like the day before I need to drive. And so bonsai day I need to drive, and then I'm around plants all day, and the soil, like it can get a bit dusty, and so like my nose is just oh dear and dear. Oh, what can you do? Not a lot when you're me and that sensitive to like everything. But like this morning was a bit weird for me. Actually, lately, like I've been having so many crazy dreams lately. And then this morning, I kind of had this feeling that I kind of had this feeling this morning. That reminded me of like being on antidepressants, or like going on to an antidepressant, like the first few days of it. Not quite that intense, but it sort of reminded me of that feeling. And I was just like, what's going on here? I haven't taken an antidepressant in years. And I wonder, is it just because of like the way that I woke up? Because like I was having a dream. I was talking to you, Paper Vampire, in this dream. And the details have sort of gone a bit fuzzy because it was at the start of my day. But yeah, no, it was. And then I think Mikey got up at 6 o'clock, and I must have drifted off before my alarm went off at 7. And in that time, in that 1 hour, I managed to fit in a little bit more dream, and you were in it. And yeah, and I think maybe that last hour of dreaming might have been enough to make my brain go a little bit like, what? And it's sort of, yeah, like while I was concentrating on things, it sort of went away, but it's sort of like every time I remember it, oh my God, you're overreacting. Well, are you? What were the details of the conversation? Anyway, yeah, no, so I've just had this weird sense today, and like there's been a few other days where I've been feeling a little bit like, what? And also I think my brain in general, like my perspective on things is shifting a bit. I need to find my water bottle. Just give me a moment. There it is. I'm gonna row backwards, guys, and just I'll be back. And there's not much in here, so I might have to go to the bathroom and get some more water under the sink. Under the sink, because I don't drink toilet water or anything. That would be crazy. And now you guys will wonder about that. I can't help myself but make like random comments when my brain is like, hey, wouldn't that be amusing to say? Oh no, brain, what are you doing? Um, I cleaned the straw and all that. Shit, yeah, there's not much in here, so I might have to grab some more in a bit. But like, it's stained. Like you can see that on the camera, right? Like, this is why I hate reusable straws. Like, especially because it's see-through, and I can see all the stains from all the gunk that's passed through it. And cleaning it is always gross. And yeah, reusable bloody straws. And I mean, I guess this is a rubbery bit, and maybe that makes it worse because the plastic straw that's just straight in it isn't as bad. I'm having cereal for dinner to stick it to them. Cereal is a bit delicious. As a community, can we now agree? Mariana's straw from her bed to the toilet water. Honestly, though, when this sort of thing gets dirty, it mainly gets dirty around the top. I might as well be drinking toilet water. Like, who even knows what gunk was in there before I cleaned it? And like the whole top here had like dusty dirt because I take this drink bottle to work. And then like the little thing where it latches into had stuff going on, and every now and then I probably don't clean it as much as I should. But yeah, they're just reusable straws are disgusting, and I don't know. I don't know, what can you do? And like Macca's has cardboard straws now, and like it's just not right. Like just give me it in a normal bottle or something. I don't know. They don't fall apart as quickly as some other cardboard straws, though, so I'll give them that. But it's just like, yeah, I gotta drink this quickly before the cardboardy taste. But it's also the texture of it, and I'm just like, thank God Cha Time so far still seems to have plastic straws. Just because, like the plastic straw thing, it's a token gesture, people want to feel like they're doing something for the environment, but like that's not even the problem with plastic. Like the problem is we ship off our plastic to countries to process, except it tends to be the kinds of countries who don't give a crap about everything, so then they dump it in the ocean. Like that's how it gets to the ocean, not because people are standing there with the disposable straws throwing it into a river. Just imagine like thousands of people throwing straws into a river. Just fuck you, Mother Nature. No, but the environment. No. That's also going to be the problem with solar panels. Yeah, I'm frustrated that there's not more conversation about what do we do with renewables when they get too old, because some of them are very difficult to recycle, and the amount of energy you have to use to recycle them, if it's possible to recycle some of the components. Because there are some things that it sounds like it just can't really be done. The amount of energy you're wasting there, and it's like, the paper straws in McDonald's are delivered in plastic sleeves. I think ours are in paper here, so at least they got that right. But like all these token environmental gestures, they frustrate me. And then we've been in Australia. There's been a lot of talk about the climate goals. And I just think, like, if we were serious about this, we'd maybe talk a bit more about nuclear, because, like, with nuclear, like, you end up with excess energy quite easily. I mean, it depends on what you build and blah, 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 blah. But then you can do carbon capture. Like, you're not going to get efficient carbon capture out of a solar array. And a nuclear station can fit in such a small amount of land. You don't have to clear forests. Forests do carbon capture on their own more efficiently than anything we have. And there's legit some places where they just clear it out for solar panels, and you're like, why? Why? And then the wind thing, and I don't know. The environmental policy just, it frustrates me. But I'm nobody, so what can I do? Basically nothing. I just vote when the thing comes along. Anti-nuclear hysterians. Yeah. Like, poor nuclear has such a bad PR problem, and like, calling it nuclear waste It's not really, because we can reuse it now. The technology has moved on, and it's only waste in the sense of like the stuff that we weren't able to use like 50 years ago, but now we can use it. And like if you look at like the amount of waste from like solar panels and wind turbines, and the amount that you have to dispose of, and like, you know, obviously coal and blah blah blah, like the waste isn't nearly as regulated in some of those industries, and it takes up so much space. But then with a nuclear waste, like, you can fit so much of it into such a tiny container that's guarded by, like, you know, anti-terrorism, whatever, and it's only in like one little parking lot is like the entire nuclear waste of one, and it's actually very safe. And people freak out, oh, nuclear waste, and it doesn't go away for however many years. And like, there's so much misinformation. And like with nuclear materials, hazardous materials, the stuff that's most dangerous is the stuff that decays quickly. Because if you get a huge dose of that stuff, you know, that's harmful. But it's the stuff that's breaking down so like, you know, half-life is very quick, and that's why it's giving out so much radiation very quickly. The stuff that lasts forever is very low level, like it only decays every 100 years or so, and so it's only giving out a tiny bit of a radiation every now and then. Like it's not even I don't know. People think that just because it lasts a long time, it must be the most dangerous form of radiation, and it's not. Like anyway, you can also recycle the excess heat to replace home heating. You can say the same about plastics in the ocean being dangerous and long lasting. I'm waiting with plastics. I'm waiting for nature to incorporate it as part of evolution. Like, you know, in the way that like you've got shellfish that use calcium or whatever to make their little shells and so on. I'm waiting for little crab things to like naturally incorporate plastic into their defenses. I think that'll be a fun thing. And you know, I like George Carlin's thing. What if the whole, you know, why are we here? What is the meaning of life? It's because the earth wanted plastic and couldn't make it without us. So I don't know. Plastic has a lot of uses as well. Like something that's a mild concern is there are bacteria that are evolving to break down plastic. And like on the one hand, okay, that's a solution to some of our plastic problems. Depends on what type of plastic, but that's one way you could get rid of it. On the other hand, if you think about how many medical devices, like, you know, implanted in your heart or whatever for some people, and plastic doesn't react with stuff very easily depending on which kind. If plastic starts deteriorating, like my computer has plastic components, my speakers are plastic, and then if all these things start to deteriorate and we can't use it the same way, then we've got to find something else. And it's just like, you know, we used to use metal and glass and like your glass milk bottles, and it adds to the weight, and then you're trucking around extra weight. And like there's reasons we started using plastic in the first place. It's an incredibly versatile material, and it has so many applications. And sometimes I just wonder, like, what if a whole bunch of bacteria does evolve to eat up lots of plastic faster than we can deal with it? Where's my writer, Cam? If you want to write some science fiction, you know, chuck in something about a world where plastic is just eaten up by bacteria and people have to deal with that shenanigans. I think that'll be fun. That's one I think about as a sort of half post-apocalyptic. And like, you know, or what if it was engineered by some crazy scientist who was like, look, I've got a solution to our plastic problem. Some well-meaning environmentalist scientist who engineers this bacteria that eats plastic, and then it gets out of hand and eats too much plastic. And then, like, you know, that there's plastic in so many things. And it's just, I mean, I don't know about my glasses, actually. I was just like, what's the closest thing I can find? But, you know, the little aligners, the what do you call them? Retainers that I put in at night, they're plastic. And then that means I don't have to have a wire in my mouth, which means I can sing more easily. Anyway, I was getting carried away telling my story. Yeah, like a sort of doomsday-ish, like, well-meaning scientist creates a thing that goes out of control. It's that sort of an idea, but with plastic instead of like a virus or a cure that or like, vaccine, anti-vaxxer fiction, they tried to create a vaccine and then turned everyone into zombies kind of thing. That sort of a thing, but with plastic bacteria eating, plastic eating bacteria. Come on, brain, you can do better than that. What did I miss? Blah, 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 blah. Where am I up to? I wonder if they already have, because the bits are so small. Well, I think we've all got microplastics in us already. That's one of the Doctor Who episodes that annoyed me a lot. Like, it would have been fine. It was a little bit in your face already, but I could have dealt with it. Except that they then had to have that monologue at the end that was just, instead of just like shoving it in everyone's face, it was like punching you in the face. And I'm like, what happened to show, don't tell in writing and in like visual screen fiction, whatever, like TV show, film, whatever. Poor brain. Yeah, it's just like the least subtle. Doctor Who has always had like little political elements pop up here and there, but there's a way to do it well, and there's a way to treat your audience like idiots and be heaps condescending. Hey, Hopi, you want to say hello to everyone? No, you're just gonna go and curl up. Oh, and get snug. So yeah, but yeah, no, because there's so much plastic out there. Like, chances are we've all got our own little stash of plastic floating around in here somewhere. Certain worms can digest styrofoam, and there was bacterial mass found a couple of years ago that can eat plastic. Yeah, it's already out there. You've been to that. That was the next comment. So, yeah, I see your point. Said it in a spaceship. Doctor Who kind of did that. Yes, but we can use the metabolic heat from a bacteria to make recycling plants into power recycling plant hybrids, which is the greenest we can get. I think it'd be interesting. I have there was some algae thing, like it's like carbon capture sort of, but you direct the carbon dioxide into a thing full of algae, and then I think you can use the algae maybe to feed something else, or was that turn it into energy? I don't remember. I don't remember, but there's some use for algae that reminds me of. Yeah. I don't know. Somehow I have these little anecdotes in my head, but they don't exactly connect up to whatever they're supposed to be. And yeah, I'm sorry that gets a little bit confusing. Let me just get some more water for my drink bottle. I'll be right back, guys. Not wearing a bear costume. Composting plastic. Yeah. Here's me regretting saying things. Oh dear, oh dear. Although I think, if I'm trying to come up with like little emoji things, a bear costume might be another one we could. I should start a list of these things. Hang on, let me get up a little document thing. So YouTube membership stuff. Very, very like professional. So the things we need are emojis and badges. And I feel like I've already got a list of some of this stuff somewhere, but I can't remember. So I'll just make another one. So emojis, out carrying toenail sword, bear costume. What was the other thing? There was one more thing. I was thinking that there was one more thing that I already said for an emoji, and I've forgotten what it is. So if anyone can remember, at the moment I've got ant carrying toenail sword, bear costume, and there was something else. And then for badges, what did we say the badges were going to be? Was it like a balloon or something? And I don't know. I'll just save this and I can figure out if I've already got something later. So YouTube membership youth. All right, and if we think of more stuff, I can add it to that. But yeah, it's going to take me forever. I feel like I can't start any new projects until I've finished that music video. And so I've finished, fucking nose. I've finished chopping up like the main part that was taking forever. So now I'm up to effects. And then I've also got to fill in some gaps that we didn't quite have ideas for yet. And then the music video will be done. I can present it to the world and I can move on with my life. And I will never do a DIY music video ever again, because trying to cover up for how DIY it is has taken so much effort. And I'm just like, yeah, no, next time I'll just pay someone to, I don't know, film me dancing around, or if I do some kind of DIY music video, it'll be much simpler. It'll probably require more setup, but will not be anything like this thing that I've done. And oh, it is looking fun though. So, you know, I'm looking forward to showing it, but I'm also looking forward to moving on. There's another music project. Taylor Swift. I was talking to another musician a couple nights ago. I don't know, time is just such a mess for me. And because she's got a band sort of ticking along, like they've been working for ages, but they've had some setbacks. And like I've just been keeping tabs to sort of follow their progress, but it turns out they don't have a vocalist. And so I was like, well, I don't know if my style is going to match yours, because I haven't heard what the band's like. They're still working on demos. But I was like, you know, I don't know if our styles match, but I could try if you need that, because like, you know, trying to find exciting. Trying to find musicians is really difficult, and we already seem to get along. Like every now and then we chat and it's a good conversation. Especially the other night, like we just went on for ages. But yeah, so I said, like, I don't know if I'm really the right person, but you know, we could have a go. We could possibly work together. And I sent her some of my stuff, because like it's hard to describe sometimes the things that I do. And she ended up saying, like, you know, you could do the Ariana Grande thing, and you know, maybe you should work on some of this stuff. And like she gave me some vocal tips and whatever. But and like, you know, some of it's genuinely interesting, but I'm also a bit like, I don't know that I want to sing like that. Like the girl Ariana, like I hadn't really looked at much of her stuff. Like obviously I've heard it, but didn't know it was her. And so now I've actually looked at some of the songs, and I'm like, yeah, she's talented. I don't know that sound is for me. But hey, like some of the techniques I'll mess around with. Yeah, I don't know. And she's got some very jazzy kinds of songs, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really see myself as jazzy. But for learning techniques, like that's one of the reasons I practice Taylor Swift, that one Taylor Swift song, is because of the technique practice. Like it's got pitches that jump around all over the place. And actually that's one of the things that's hard about, like, how am I going to cover this? Because when I practice it on my own, I'm actually just like mucking around with different techniques. I haven't learnt it in a way that is pleasant to listen to. So like, well, now I've got to make it, you know, not completely horrible, like make it make sense in some way. And how do I do that? I might have to even change the pitch a little bit just so that it works in my voice a little bit better. But yeah, I'm not starting anything new until this music video is done. Because I just, like, you know, I've been working on it for a couple months now, and we were working on the track for a bit before that. It's out now somewhere. I'll get a link eventually. I haven't even checked it out myself out in the wild, but yeah, when I'll get around to that at some point. But yeah, no, the video is what I've been working on, you know, when I get a chance. It's just hard because like I've got my work from home job as well, and I've got to get that done first. So it ends up being like a bit of an afterthought. But yeah, once I get that done though, I feel like I can finally move on to my own music projects and just other things in general. Maybe make a few more videos for like general YouTube, get onto some of those ideas that I've had running around for ages. What was that other idea we were talking about before? Oh, the ASMR. Should I start another? Should I just put it? Where's my list of videos, video ideas? What's this? Everything's crossed out on that. Did I actually achieve everything? No, that's. Yeah, I'll add it to this piece of paper. So destruction ASMR. So I don't forget. One day I'll get around to all this stuff. Like, oh my god, there's so many videos that I want to make, and I don't have time to sit down and think about it. Oh yeah, so let me gather my thoughts. Yeah, no, I really need to get this music project out of the way. Then after that, I'm actually getting a little bit itchy to do my own solo stuff again. So yeah, oh man, this nose is terrible. Anyway, no, I'm getting itchy to do my own music again. If your destruction ASMR is you stepping on things, your channel will blow up. Be prepared for the fame. Yeah, like I'm so upset that you know, those foot fetish guys turned up on my channel, because like if it was just like for fun, let's step on some stuff, I'm cool with that. Like that's fun. But if it's dudes who are like trying to manipulate me because they're perverts and stuff, and also a lot of them I guarantee you thought I was underage, which makes it even worse. I sound very nasally. Maybe I should go and take some Dimetapp. I'll do that a bit later. Yeah, no, it's just like the thing that disturbs me more than them trying to exploit me is that, like, realizing that some of them would have thought I was underage, and they would have thought that they were contacting someone who was underage. And I'm just like, that is fucked up. Yeah, making fun of my nose. I can't help it. You know what? I blame my ex for my nose, because before I moved out there, I didn't have hay fever, and it's only once I moved out and then came back home that I started having these problems, because the place that he lived was further from like the middle of Sydney, so I guess the air's probably cleaner, and yeah, my nose had a break, and then when it came back here, it yeah. So that's one more thing I can be mad at my ex for. Anyway, no, those foot guys, because like, I mean, my channel's called DestroyerMariko. DestroyerMariko, not Destroy America, although at this point, who really knows? And like, I wouldn't mind just like stomping on some stuff and breaking it. But no, these guys have to come along and get all pervy. And some of the messages I got back when YouTube had like a private messaging system, and I'm just like, yeah, wow. So because of you guys, maybe I won't step on anything. Whereas if you would just shut up and let me get on with my channel, there could be heaps of this stuff, and I would have no idea that you guys were reacting that way and blah, blah, blah. But no, you've gone and ruined it for everyone now, haven't you? You've ruined it for you. You've ruined it for me. You've ruined it for all my viewers. So thanks a lot, feet people. But yeah, no, actually yes, was it yesterday? I was working in my little veggie patch, and I was throwing out some stuff, and I actually like stomped on some stuff on camera to try and get it into this little this bin, because, you know, I needed to flatten it down. And I was like, I wonder if I should have had my foot on camera because of those people. I've always wanted to build myself a nice cardboard city and then crush it. Yeah, I think, like, see, that would be fun. And it's just these people who are too rude to understand. Like, I can't stop people watching my stuff, and like that would be against the whole point of it. And I can't stop people reacting the way they react. But the least they could do is have the respect to keep it to themselves. If they want more of that kind of thing, just shut up. Shut up and let me do my thing. Who knows what I'm going to do? But if you start telling me to do things, I'm going to be like, no. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, how did I even get onto that topic? Yeah. No, I've heard about all the giantess stuff from these people as well. It's just like, thanks, guys. You know, like, once you bring sex into it, you just completely turn me off the thing, and I'm just like, Thanks a lot, guys. Just let me have some Godzilla mayhem, like innocently, without all that crap, and we'll all be happier. But no, you have to bring that into it. That was the problem for me with you know what, ages ago I used to hang out with, for a while I was hanging out with the BDSM community, because like it's genuinely interesting, but there's just so much sex in it. Even when they say there's not, it's there. And I was just like, I can't hang out around this, you know? And it's an interesting kind of community, because like I'm into all those interesting communities. Vampires, you guys know I was into looking at that. Like I don't believe any of it, but it's still fascinating to get people's beliefs and, you know, find out that perspective and all that. But yeah, no, that the BDSM guys, and you know, even when you try and find someone and they say, oh yeah, they say that they're asexual, like a lot of the time they're not. Or else like they're that more modern sort of I've just seen there's all this crap on the bottom of my mouse all the time, and it's just distracting. And there was some on the cable as well, and I better not click around because I might accidentally close something. But yeah, no, the newer definitions of asexuality that have like romantic orientations and all this kind of stuff, like I don't want any of it. I don't want any of it. Leave me alone. And yeah, no, it's just everywhere. And I was just like, I can't hang out with this. So bye. Just fade into oblivion again. But no, it was kind of interesting. Just yeah. Disappointing as well, because there's so much of the other crap in it. But hey, I was brave and I explored stuff, and it was kind of funny, like the way people treat you, because like they have these sort of public gatherings where everyone's very well behaved but maybe dressed up, and then they talk about stuff. And oh, who's home? Is that Dad or Dave? I don't know. Give me a sec, guys. Okay, I don't know. I don't really think I should really be talking loudly about this sort of thing when there's people around the house, walking up around. Yeah, no, maybe we finish that story some other time. Anyway, what else is going on? Let me grab some Dimetapp actually, because this nose is like, and then I'll get sleepy, and maybe I'll actually sleep okay. What time do I have to get up tomorrow? I think tomorrow I just get up I've got to get up before 10 because of water restrictions, because I got to water everything in the morning. Is my alarm on? One thing, like I haven't got around to setting up my phone a leaky faucet. Yeah. When the alarm goes off, it's just not how do I hello, I'm online. Don't show that paper to the screen, Dad. Hi, Dad. Tea and water, $5 says you'll be up till 1 a.m. Bye, Dad. And Dad was out, I think had a work dinner. No, this phone, right? Oh. This is meant to wake me up? No, I need to find an actual alarm, and it's just always so overwhelming because there's so many options. So then I've got to sit through and like go through each one and find the one that's going to wake me up, because that's not going to wake me up. The one I've got on my old phone, I mean, it's still not great, but it's so like that, especially like first thing in the morning, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta wake up. But probably the best is my Nokia. Oh, Hopi. Huh? I know. What am I playing with? I'm playing with phones. I think Hope's confused because my wake-up alarm went off, and like then he knows I'm awake, and he's like, "Wait a minute, it's night. Why is the alarm going off?" I don't want to be shocked awake, but I do need to wake up. Well, then you'd probably like the gentle tone that this one came default with. Download You Suffer by Napalm Death and set that as alarm. No, I was thinking of doing Chop Suey. You know, it goes, wake up! Except that I don't use makeup except when I'm actually going somewhere, and even then it's only really eyeliner and then eyeshadow to cover up the fact that I can't do eyeliner. I wonder if we can get the how do I set the I think it just screams because it's 33:15. I miss my old ringtone. How do I find that? Tones? I'll play you my old ringtone. It gets so loud! I'm sorry, Hopi, I'm sorry. I haven't listened to that in ages. The alarm just goes beep, 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 beep. But no, I miss that. I miss that ringtone. Yeah, well, because like, you know, I'd keep it in my bag or my pocket and not always hear it. And like, you know, of course I had the little vibrator motor going. Because I know how you like it, yes. Because it's dramatic, but also it gets so loud and so piercing that I could hear it wherever I was carrying it. So yeah, that was my ringtone. And it's always a fright. So like, because it's such a horrible noise, depending on where you are, you get a little bit embarrassed, and so you're rushing to find the phone and shut it up as soon as possible. And then it's also great, like once everyone had moved to smartphones and I was one of the last holdouts on the old style. Everyone has these nice ringtones, and then here I come along with dun 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 dun. I miss it. Maybe I should just record it and play the recording on this. Oh man. I haven't even checked out what ringtones this thing has. Someone was trying to call me today, like a private number, so probably spam. But and I did not recognize it, so it took me a while to even realize it was my phone ringing, and like I was working, so you know, if it's important, send me a text or whatever. What's that, settings? How do I change my ringtone? What is my ringtone? Galaxy bells. Boring. I don't know. Oh, it has like calm, fun, retro. None of these say dark and disturbing. That's disappointing. Just think of how unsuspecting people would react in public. Hang on, I can hear Hopi trying to escape, so I'm just gonna go out and open a door for him. I'll be back. Not in a bear costume. Anyway, where are we? Oh. Yeah, no, it would be fun to like get my fancy S21 Ultra playing Nokia, old school Nokia tones. I actually like the device name. I think I changed my old one to Nokia 3315. So anytime I was around someone, it would show up like that. With the new one, I didn't quite make it that basic, so people know that I'm just trolling. But you know, I like to think like, what do people think when they see this? Of course, then Nokia re-released the 3310, so it was probably less exciting when people saw that come up on their screen. But hey, when I first got the phone, it was kind of fun that people think there's a Nokia on the, you know, old school Nokia on the Bluetooth. Anyway, no, I miss that old ringtone, and especially because like I think the old 3310 also had it, And then when I moved to the 3315, I changed that to the ringtone as well. So I had that ringtone. Did I have that for, how long did I must have had it for 13 years. 13 years with that ringtone. And so, of course, I got a bit attached to it. But yeah, I never really got excited about the ringtone on the S7 Edge. What did I have it set to? It might have just been the default because, like, what's good? How do I find my settings? I'm still so vague about these things. Ringtones. Yeah, I just had that over the horizon. Boring. I guess maybe none of them were that exciting. So yeah, I kept it as that. It looks like they have an updated version of it on the new phone. But yeah, phone companies don't really make these ringtones with someone like me in mind, except Nokia. Oh man. What else is happening? Still haven't named this guy. I keep forgetting. I should do it at the start of the stream when everyone's, fresh and not got fatigue from me going off in tangents. Yeah, I know, like, you make jokes about me drinking a lot while I'm streaming, but if I'm going to be talking, I need to make sure my vocal cords are getting enough moisture, right? Like, singing technique is just like good vocal hygiene anyway. So I should at least try and do the keep hydrated kind of thing. Hedrick. Is that because it's on my head? I don't know. What do we call you? And like, then do we keep the same name? Hedrick. Do we keep the same name for both of them, or do like they get to have like the alter ego persona sort of thing? That's something that I struggle to decide on. Yeah, and it's cute how grumpy he is. Anyway, no, I feel like I started going on a tangent, and I might have left it behind, and I think it was about my brain feeling weird lately and some of my perspective changing, and that might have been when I rowed my boat over to my drink bottle. I don't remember, but yeah, no, one of the things. And I was also talking about how I'm sort of feeling like doing more solo stuff again. Mr. 8. Oh, there you go. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm sort of waiting for a name to come along, and I just look at him and think, yeah, that's right. And I'm not sure that we're quite there yet, but we'll keep brainstorming, eh? But yeah, no, the thought that I had and got distracted. So, I've been thinking about music, and it's just been so hard to find a band and like musicians who are on the same page as me and who understand my vocals, because my vocals are weird. I don't even know how to say that. I have no idea how you're supposed to pronounce that. I don't know, like when you put a line over something and little dots and stuff. I know Pokemon, like with the I don't know which way you guys looking. Oh, I don't even know. Maybe it's that way. Like the little I know that what that is, but I don't know any of the other ones really, or the squiggly lines. This is me being too English speaking to understand this stuff. Yeah, that helps. Oh my god. We got Stan. So we've got Netflix, Disney, and now Stan, because apparently Stan is getting like sport on it, and the boys wanted to get rid of Foxtel, and so now they've got Stan instead. And we were flicking through it. It's actually got a lot of good stuff. Like Netflix for me, I feel is it just doesn't have things that I feel drawn to, whereas Stan has like some of the classics that I really like, and I can't remember why I'm thinking about this. Daku or Daku? Because my instinct would be to pronounce it like Japanese, so Daku 4-1. Yeah, Google Japanese. Really? I don't know what that means though. Why was I thinking? I think something about the shape of it, and then I've lost my train of thought. Why was I thinking about Stan and some of the shows on it? Something about that made me think about the streaming shows and what's on Stan, and now I don't. Oh, Daku 4-1. That's a bit awkward. I don't know. And like it's really only like maybe that side of it as well. Because red isn't very dark, red's very bright. Why was I thinking about the streaming services? Was there a show that I saw on it? Something about the way that that's written made me think. And now I don't know. I've gotten confused. But hey, we have Stan, and it's got lots of stuff on it and stuff that I might actually watch. Except that I'm me, and so like, it took me 6 months to get through Angel. Huh? The link is, what link's broken? What link's broken? What link is broken? It's not my internet, is it? The power of Google Translate. Oh, yeah. Where was I going before? Oh, the link. Where did you send me a link? One of the things about this phone, and I think it's the version of Android that it's up to, is it doesn't show the little bubbles on my icons for when I've got a notification, because I don't have notifications turned on. I don't have push notifications turned on because I don't want them. And I think because of that, it thinks I don't want any notifications, and so it doesn't put the little bubble on the app, so I don't know when I've got a message somewhere. And so like, especially like Snapchat, I'm just not really using, because I mean, Snapchat's kind of crap anyway. And just every now and then I put something up. Look up. Link. I don't see a link. I don't see a link. Maybe how far up is this link? Because I can't see any link. Yeah, I can't see it. Okay, never mind Netflix, whatever. But yeah, we have Stan now. It automatically censored. Oh, okay. This one doesn't let me see all chat. So I think like when I'm streaming from my phone, I think I can see all chat, but this one doesn't seem to have that option. Do you have timestamps on? I can turn timestamps on, and that's fine. So then they all come up. But there is a way to see all chat and just like the approved chat and Messenger. Oh, octopus names. 153. Oh, that's too many names. I'll have to look at that later. Oh my god, 153. That's more than the original Pokemon. Like, even if you include missing no, it's still too many. Anyway, 153 octopus. Oh my god, that's too many names. Like, it'd take me too long to get through it. You think they'd be sensible and just put 8 octopus names, because that would make sense and also be simpler. Yeah, I can't remember why I was thinking of Stan, but something about the way that was written made me think of something. Did they have Neon Genesis? Maybe. Is that what made me think of it? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, the story I was getting to before, or the thought I was getting to before, so like with music, you know, I've still been searching for a band, and I've sort of gotten frustrated to the point that my latest ad that I put up, if I can find it. Oh no, my little automatic thing is gone. I'll just go to this. Let me just put a few things to this side and this to this side so that I can still see all my little messages, all my live chats. Oh, I've got to sign in again. Oh my god. Okay. So my latest ad. How do I look at it? I've been through a lot of different ads, trying to find a format that gets people to like show some interest, but also get the right kinds of people. So at first I was writing like these huge walls of text saying like, this is what I'm looking for, blah, 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 blah. By the way, communication is very important to me. If you read this far, please mention potatoes so that I know that you actually got this far and you can pay attention, kind of thing. And that didn't really work because, I mean, first of all, musicians don't like to read. Unfortunately, like there's so many stereotypes that are just true, and I'm a weirdo, so I don't really fit into like normal musicians. I was good at maths in school, and so I'm more likely to fall into math stereotypes than music stereotypes, and I just forget how musicians are like. So a lot of them don't even read that far. They see a wall of text, they flee. And then the ones who did mention potato, some of them saw the code word and were like, I've beaten the system, but didn't actually pay attention to anything I wrote. So those were a disaster. And then some of them, they might pass the test, but they're the wrong style and it just doesn't work. So yeah, that was tricky. I also tried the other extreme where I just say like, vocalist looking for a band in Sydney, metal vocalist, just something really short like that. And not much more success there either. You might get more people contacting because, you know, there's less to read, but you can't really screen for the quality of them. And then often like the styles of metal that are in fashion aren't necessarily the ones that I'm into. And then I've done ones where I've actually put my demos out, or not demos, like past recordings and covers, and the kinds of people that attracts tend to be in genres that I'm not into, like black metal or death thrash something, or pop punk, which I didn't ask for. I said metal, but whatevs. And then the people that the ones that I'm interested in, like for example, metalcore, because I've done a few metalcore covers over the last little while. You can tell straight away that my voice doesn't suit that. And so anytime a metalcore band comes along, they hear my voice and they're like, that's not what we're looking for, because they want what's in fashion. They don't want me. And so it's just hard to find something in a style that I like with a band that gets my voice and isn't completely disorganized. Follow the example of Sakana 3301 project, leave a series of clues that eventually lead to Yukarako with a contact in it. Jesus, to break the code, Mr. Shu. Yeah, except that I want them to be good at music, not necessarily code cracking. But no, maybe you should look for like-minded people and start joining a network of people who are cool and reliable. Yeah, the thing is, like, the people who are cool and reliable aren't necessarily in the genres I like. So it's there's so many different factors, and then if I do find them, they might not even be in Sydney, like, because Sydney's scene is a bit smaller than some other places. And so like there's all this complicated stuff going on. So I've also tried ads where I put in pictures that clearly show I'm a chick, and, you know, pictures of chick, you instantly get some attention. They might hear of someone and refer you. Yeah, well, I mean, I know people in the local scene and no one's referred anything to me really, at least not in the styles that I'm into. So who knows? But yeah, no, when I put up pictures of me, like, you know, in full stage gear and so on, obviously I get like some of the weirdos as well for that. That's good points. No, let me tell you what I've done this time, because I've done long-winded, I've done short-winded, I've done pictures, Like I've tried different 301 sounds like fun. Maybe when I start my cult and I'm looking for cult members to like give me all their money, I'll send them on like a wild goose chase and eventually like, take all their money. But until then, we'll leave that project on hold. Here's what I've done for my latest band ad, because like I've kind of lost hope, but I know I should keep out some feelers, but I also want to have fun at the same time. So I got a little bit carried away. I'm trying to be short and to the point, so I've got lots of dot points. Let me just read it. So my title in capitals, serious, because every now and then you come across a band that's like serious inquiries only, and I'm like, as if that's going to stop someone from trolling. If someone is determined to troll you, saying serious inquiries only isn't going to stop them. In fact, it might even attract their attention. Oh, serious inquiries, hey, I'm going to troll that. Good morning from Australian evening. I kind of lost hope he's on the bed. No, he left because I was playing with my phone noises. Anyway, so serious inquiries only. So I put as my very first word in my title, serious in capital letters. And then in just normal, serious metal vocalist looking for a band with that smiley face, like, with the two dots and the capital D. So serious metal vocalist looking for a band. And that's my title. And so I've already turned off some people there. Then my first line is free vocalist for adoption to a good metal band in brackets Sydney. And then I put specs. And here's where I list my dot points, my specs. I've got a tick. Tick, 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 tick. They're my dot points. Point 1. Sings like an angel, screams like a demon, like having two vocalists but only one ego. So I'm already trolling. I'm like taking the piss out of vocalists as well. But he gets the point across. I can sing and I can scream. I feel like that's informative. Next one. So the next few are kind of standard. So live and studio experience, tick. Songwriting experience, tick. Transport and gear, tick. Committed and organized, tick. And then the next one, carries spare picks and guitar cable. And that's because, when you're a vocalist, you want to try not to be completely useless. And so one of the things you can do is you can carry extra stuff. And I have picks. I have cables. I made my own guitar cables a while back. So if you keep some spare, there might be a day when your guitarist, their cable breaks and for some reason they don't have a spare of their own, and here you come to save the day. The useless vocalist has a guitar cable to save the day and extra picks and whatever. I mean, a good instrumentalist should have extras, but it could have gotten lost somewhere, or maybe they misplaced their bag or left it in a taxi or who knows what. So you can always be prepared and have that extra stuff. So that's why I put that in. But also I'm trying to make the point that I'm not a useless vocalist, which is still taking the piss out of vocalists. So yeah, carry spare picks and guitar cable. The next point, will offer to help load in gear despite tiny arms. Because look at me, I'm tiny. And at this point, I've probably given away the fact that I'm female, which I don't mention at any point. But I'll offer to help load in, whether or not I'm successful. And they always lose their picks. Yes, exactly. So if you have extra picks as a vocalist, you're helping. And yeah, we'll offer to help load in gear despite tiny arms. I might not be able to carry much, but I'll try. Maybe you can just give me I'll carry your cables, maybe. Next one, exciting stage wardrobe, tick. And I've got so many clothes and nowhere to wear them, and look at my hair and nowhere to go anyway. So exciting stage wardrobes, the next one. Then we have pre-installed with basic makeup skills, in brackets non-upgradable. Because I can do eyeliner, but that's about it. No, I don't know that I'd have much success with other stuff. I did a little bit of face paint a couple times, but whether or not I'd be able to do that a lot, I don't know. But I put that in. Next one, not terrible at social media, which they might not believe after seeing such a crappy ad, but the next one, doesn't cup the mic. And so this is another attack at other vocalists. I think fry screamers are probably more likely to cup the mic, because fry depending on what their exact technique is like. Some fry can be very quiet, and I think by doing that, they're trying to hear themselves a bit more and change the sound a bit. It's just you do get feedback issues and drive your sound guy insane, and it can ruin the sound of it. I mean, it depends what you're going for, but overall, cupping the mic is not really a great idea. I've got so much hair dye coming out still. I've got to wash it before that'll stop. Anyway, so I said doesn't cup the mic. So I've already attacked a few more vocalists, and potentially some of the bands will look at that, and if they like cupping the mic, that might turn them off or whatever. Next one, fully vaccinated against relationship drama. I wanted to get the word vaccinated in because I'm pretending I'm for adoption, right? Like a puppy. But you know, I don't date anymore. Like I tried it, done with it, was never for me. So let's not go back to that. But one thing I've seen that kills bands is when, you know, like maybe some of the band members are dating, or maybe one of the band members has their annoying girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, all around all the time. Sometimes those things can actually, it's usually when they're dating within the band though. And then if you have drama, relationship drama, it can kill the band or make it heaps awkward. So I'm just saying, especially if they've figured out that I'm a chick by this point, I'm not going to do any of the relationship stuff. You don't have to worry about that with me. Next one. Won't get drunk on stage, in brackets, may get hyped on sugary beverages afterwards. Because some vocalists, like, they do get drunk on stage and then they fuck everything up. Like, I've seen it. It's not pretty, depending on, I mean, some people do okay. It depends on how much they've drunk, I suppose. But yeah, I don't drink alcohol, so I'm not going to be like that. I just, like, you know, while I've still got the adrenaline going after a performance, I do, you know, get a Coca-Cola and then run around like a maniac for a bit until the adrenaline finally wears off. But like, that's the fun. That's why I like performing, the adrenaline rush and being like, hey. Next one, no assembly required. I feel like that's mandatory when we're listing. Like I'm trying to sell something. And then the final tick mark, enjoys many potato-based dishes. And that was a callback to those earlier ads where I said mention potato. And then after that, I've got like another line. This isn't a tick point. This is just a general line. That being a bit noisy, let me just wait. I think Marley's doing something. Are you coming back, Hopi? Yay, Hope's back. Oh, he's so cute. The next line after I've listed my specs with my little tick marks, I said battery's not included because I'm not going to bring a 9-volt battery for your active pickups. I'm just not. That's one thing I'm not going to do. But yeah, battery's not included. Not suitable for strongly political bands. Is definitely not a T-Rex, but does own a dragon onesie, and let's never speak of that again. So battery's not included. I feel like I have to add that in. Not suitable for strongly political bands. One of the things that I'm aware of is because I have blue hair and I'm a chick, people tend to think that it's just that stereotype of like, you know, the feminazi kind of thing, or, you know, people with colored hair in general being politically active in some way. Like there is a bit of that stereotype, and I want to get rid of that before we get a chance. And then also the one band that I did audition for couple weeks ago maybe, they got me to learn a Rage Against the Machine song, and I'm pretty sure it was just because it's a fun song, but for me the political aspect is a little bit, and it's very American as well, and I just lyrically not into it, and also it doesn't suit my voice. But you know, it's just the politics. I was like, this time let's just say straight up front, because I did have a band offer a while ago as well. It was like an all-girl band and did have room for a bit of growly stuff, not a lot, but a bit. But when they approached me, you know, I had to ask, because when I looked them up, I could tell they were political, and I was like, so how important is this? And so I didn't join that band because they were very heavily into politics, and I'm just not. And yeah, I just don't want to get involved in that kind of stuff. But one of the reasons I put that line in is because of the, you know, blue-haired feminist stereotype. I don't want to get involved in that. When I turn up looking like this, I don't want them to freak out that I'm going to be heaps political. So that's why that's in. And then the T-Rex is definitely not a T-Rex comment is there, because previously I said that will offer to help load in gear despite tiny arms. And I realized, like, I'm talking about my tiny arms as a small female, but I can't imagine someone reading that thinking I mean, like, you know, T-Rex arms. So that's why that's in. And then I've got one more little paragraph at the bottom. Adopt a new singer slash screamer slash death growler for your heavy metal slash metalcore slash etc. band today, or in a week or so. Today might be too short notice, especially if you message at 1 minute to midnight. And yeah, this last paragraph was mainly to get in some keywords to help with search. But hey, thanks for reading it. I always thought you were over 6 foot. What's 6 foot in proper measurements? 6 foot. Oh God, that's tall. 1.8288 meters. No, I'm 165 centimeters, I think. What's that in American? In American, that's 5.41339. What's that in inches? Oh, hang on. Here's a calculator, maybe. So it's about 5'5", I think. Feet, it's not. Except, like, you know, maybe those fetish guys might measure everything in feet. Who knows? No, I'm not very tall. I'm just thin. So if you think about, you know, proportionally, just shrink me down a little bit from that. So I'm probably even skinnier than you think. I'm not saying it in yards. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my current vocalist ad looking for a band. And I'm so fed up that I just took the piss, basically had some fun with it. Because, like, I just don't think I'm going to find a band that gets me and that allows me to explore the kind of music that I'm into. And so what I'm thinking is that I'm just going to have to go back to being solo, probably. Like, keeping those feelers out. But I feel like the chances of me finding something that I'm happy with is very low. And so the best I'm going to be able to get is probably going solo, doing vocals the way I want to do them, getting the music as close to what I want as I'm capable of, which is difficult because music just doesn't come naturally to me, like, especially that writing side of things, and I can't play guitar very well. So, you know, for me to try and do guitar-based music probably isn't going to work. So it's going to be that electronic stuff. And I know I haven't finished recording The Truth. I completely left it last year, but I'll get back to it at some point. When I realized I could do low growls was during that recording process. And so I went away to try and, like, figure that out a bit more. So, yeah, now that I've got a better idea of that, I can play around with the pitch more, and I'm like, oh, that changes how I might want to do this song. So yeah, I'm gonna figure that out. But I do increasingly feel like I'm just gonna have to go solo, just bite that bullet, start writing my own stuff again, go experimental, whatever. Which, like, the sad thing is not having the guitars, and there's also, like, an atmosphere to having a band. There's a social side of having a band because I don't really socialize otherwise. It's very hard to convince me to go anywhere. There's only a couple of people maybe who really understand what it takes to get me out of the house. So yeah, the social aspect, and also like, related to the social aspect is that sort of duty aspect. So I'm more likely to get stuff done if I'm in a band because other people are relying on me. But if I can't find the right people to work with and the right sound, the right music, I might just have to go solo, because at least when it's just me, like, there's certain things that I know are going to be a certain way, and it's easier to organize just one person. The hardest part is probably discipline to actually sit down and do it amidst all the distractions and other things that I do, followed by, like, the actual music writing process, which I do struggle with a lot. Vocals is not so hard, although it depends, because I think if it's the kind of music that I like, I can come up with vocals fine. But if it's sort of a more prog kind of thing with unexpected elements, if it's too repetitive, or if it's not repetitive enough, if it's just this through composed wanky mess because some guitarists just get a little bit too carried away. Do some more covers. They'll see. I look forward to them. Good way to start my morning. Need to get ready for work. Good night. Oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah, I will be doing more covers, but I got to finish this music video first, I think. Unless Raw Riffs comes along and is like, hey, let's do a thing. Because we were working on some stuff, but I think he's gotten busy with a few things. But if he wants to do some more stuff, then maybe I'll do that. But probably the music video is the next thing, music-wise, for this channel at least. Yeah, anyway, yeah, no worries if you need to go and do stuff. Enjoy your day or whatever is happening. Or hopefully it's not shit. Like, maybe it's not enjoyable, but hopefully it's not shit. So, yeah. But so, yeah, I'm sort of confronting the reality that I might just have to do solo stuff. And then another thing is, if you look at the situation around the world, like Australia's doing okay. Live music, I haven't been to any since things sort of opened up. Because like you're not allowed to dance, you're not allowed to mosh. Like that's the thing that I do when I go and see a show, especially if it's something I like. Like if it's crap, I'll just stand in the corner. But if it's good, I'm up the front. If I've got the energy, which is usually like once I get into the atmosphere of it. I work for a plumbing company. Oh no! Ba-bumch. Oh my god. Yeah, that was a good one. All right. Well, I hope you survive. How's that? I think that's probably the most optimistic I can get then. Anyway, yeah, no. So music. I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, no, doing things my way. I'm gonna have to. Shit, someone remind me what I was just talking about. Is there no raves? Oh, is there no raves in the Outback or something? Sort of like a Mad Max impromptu. On Devil's Rock. Thumbs up. See ya, Sulfur Soul 502. No, so I was talking about gigs. So in Sydney and probably most of Australia, like there's gigs and stuff, but there's still restrictions on what you can do and how many people can mingle in a space. Yeah, and to me, it's just like probably not as fun. And because I don't like going out and I don't like socializing, if it doesn't have the things that I like about it being a gig, it's a little bit harder to convince myself to go. You know, like I want to, like there are some bands that I'd like to support, but yeah, it's tough. And then the other thing is like watching people do stuff that I wish I was doing. That's a bit rough too. I guess I just, you know, for some people it's easier. For me, maybe not so much. Depends a bit. But yeah, I just, you know, looking at the reality, like even in Australia, we still have these restrictions because things do escape hotel quarantine now and then. And then restrictions could happen at any moment because there could be a breakout that just sneaks past everything somehow. And so you don't want to know when rules are going to change. And then there's the vaccination rollout going on. But there's all these new variants. And obviously some countries, like the wealthier countries, will probably get the vaccinations first. But then there's all these other countries that are doing it tough. And the problem is if those countries continue to have heaps of cases, the chance of mutations just increases by so much. So even if like the rest of us get vaccinated, but like this one population doesn't, and it mutates into something that doesn't work, like that the vaccination can't block, then we have to have new vaccinations and constantly play catch up. And I'm just sort of looking at this situation like, I mean, I'm supposed to go to Japan in 2024. And last year I was like, oh yeah, that'll still happen. But now I'm like, I'm not so sure. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've really got to see how this initial rollout goes and then see how much catch up we have to play as things keep evolving. But so I'm sort of coming to terms with the reality that this whole pandemic could go on for a few more years. And in that case, I mean, if I found a band, we could get on stage and that would be fun. But there's so many unknowns and I'm sort of thinking, well, should I really be stressed about this? Like, should I be trying so hard to find a band? Maybe not. Maybe I should focus more on online stuff, because I know you guys, at least some of you guys, like my covers, and we get to have a sort of interaction. Like, I can't see any of you here, but I know you're there because you're chatting, you leave me comments, you leave me reactions. And I mean, it's different to being on stage. There's not that same adrenaline and atmosphere, but I still like doing it. It's still enjoyable. And, you know, there's not all this risk of COVID. There's not restrictions you have to comply with. Yeah, so I'm sort of just thinking, well, if COVID's going to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, maybe focusing on the live scene is not really the best place for my efforts. And like the other thing is, if I don't find a band, like if I just sit around waiting for something, I'm not going to make any progress. So I'm sort of, yeah, coming to terms with maybe solo is better. Maybe not performing live. I should just deal with it, and I should just be online instead, making content for you guys. Whatever, like maybe that's a better use of my time, my effort, and then at least I'm still making some progress. Because yeah, like the world's very uncertain at the moment. And like even in Australia, I mean, we haven't started our vaccine rollout, but you know, we'll have to see how it goes. And how effective it is, and what new strains come out, and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, my perspective sort of shifted a little bit. And then also, like, I think I don't care as much about playing live as I used to, just because like I've stayed home. Like I didn't perform live at all last year. The last performance I did was December 2019, and then last year nothing. And so I've sort of fallen out of the habit anyway. And I'm sort of questioning, how much is this really important to me? Like the adrenaline rush is great, especially like before, when I was sort of borderline depressed, like I'd come out of depression, was still recovering. Having that adrenaline rush really helped when I was sort of in that empty sort of meh, like not depressed, but just kind of like floating along. So performing live, getting that adrenaline, that was helpful. But now I'm doing a lot better. I'm at a much more stable place. So do I really need to be on stage right now when things are crazy? And so maybe I should focus more on solo stuff, working on myself as a musician and all that. And then it sort of also changes my priorities. So last year I decided I'm not so into visual art. And so I decided, because, you know, I have so many hobbies and I've got to try and focus on something at some stage. So the three things I came up with were music, YouTube, and bonsai. And I think, you know, in terms of priorities, it's hard to choose sometimes between YouTube and music. I probably, like, in terms of what I was pining for, was probably music at the top, followed by YouTube, followed by bonsai. But I'm sort of rearranging that in my head. And maybe now I actually do in the order, like make YouTube my top sort of thing that I'm working on, and then have bonsai actually, because they do need a lot of work, and then make music like my least important thing. I mean, it all ties in, because like bonsai and music, I can still put into YouTube. But yeah, like as standalone things, maybe I don't stress so much about that. Are there any groups active on YouTube that you can collab with? Yeah, well, I mean, like raw riffs. You know, I could do more stuff like that. I don't know how many collabs I want to do. I'm thinking like maybe working on my own music, like, you know, me, like the music video that I've got coming up is actually a collab. And like, you know, it's been fun, but I'm sort of pining to do my own stuff and express my own, you know, crap in my head. So that's what I'm thinking about music wise. Like, do I just stop stressing? So I keep my feelers out, keep my humorous ad out there, but just stop stressing about trying to find a band, because, you know, even if I find one, we might be able to gig a little bit. We might be able to gig around Australia, but, you know, if you actually want to go anywhere like outside Australia, that's not going to happen for ages. Although, like, you know, if I joined a band, we wouldn't get to that stage for a long time. And, you know, you've got to actually find a group that's good, that you can commit to, because the people are good and all that kind of stuff. And it's sort of just like, well, maybe I just work on my own thing for a bit. Especially like, because, yeah, I have stabilized a lot. I feel like my brain's gone through a bit of a shift again lately. thinking about all this stuff, because the world is so different to what it was, before last year happened. It's bigger than 9/11, this whole pandemic thing. So yeah, it's just sort of like shifting my brain to sort of fit in with the new reality, and the fact that it's likely to go on for quite a while. So, and then also, like, with the weird dreams that I've been having, this ties into the destroyer half of me, like the more violent sort of stuff, which I like isn't as big a part of my life these days, but every now and then it pops up like that. And I think that's part of the reason I don't know if it's part of the reason I'm having this shift, or if it's a result of this shift in my thinking related to COVID and the world. But it's a thing, and I think that's why I've been having so many crazy dreams. Although it could also be because of like temperature changes, and when I'm asleep, like the temperature is just, it's summer and I'm sleeping with a blanket, like, and I haven't even had to turn on my dehumidifier before bed for the last couple nights. So yeah, maybe the temperature changes sort of made my brain a bit funny as well. Sometimes it's really hard to know. Yeah, so those are some thoughts about music mostly, and then like life. Yeah. No. What else has been on my mind? I feel like there's been more, but I'm really happy that this live stream has actually worked. Like, we're almost at 2 hours and I haven't dropped out yet. By June everything will be normal. I put money on it. No way. Like New Zealand and Australia might stand a chance at that, but most of the world is just like chaos. The vaccine can only do so much, especially with these new strains, and they don't necessarily protect against it, or if they do, they don't do it very well. And I do think, like, once we get past 100 kangaroo dollars, I don't gamble and I don't do competitions and stuff. And actually, one of the videos I want to make is on the topic of competitions, because I need to explain to you guys about another part of my personality that is just like, I keep that well and truly locked away, because no one needs to see that. Koala teeth. What about drop bear teeth? How about that, mate? Yeah, no, I think like it's going to take a few years to vaccinate the entire world, because there's just this 7 billion people. You won't vaccinate all of them, but you got to try and get a decent percentage of them in over 200 countries, in all kinds of conditions, to make sure that it doesn't keep mutating. But it will keep mutating. By the time you vaccinate everyone, the people who were vaccinated first probably need a new vaccine. And so I think, like, once we get through the actual pandemic stage that we're currently in, like where things are just like there's lockdowns and there's chaos and whatever, once we get past that, I do think that it's going to become like the flu, where you get a new flu shot every year. So we'll also have a new coronavirus shot every year. And there actually are labs working on combining the two shots so that you only need one every year instead of having to go and get two. But yeah, I think it's going to become very similar to the flu. Once we get past this stage where it is disrupting things and it is killing people, including some younger people seem to have been, like, I haven't looked into it, but I get the impression that more younger people have been getting it. With some of these new strains, I don't like getting it and having to be in hospital. June 16th, if I'm wrong, I'll paddleboard there and give you all my drop bear pelts. Oh my God. Dear, oh dear. Because we're not expecting to get our vaccine rollout done until October. Yeah, and like, I mean, we'll be in winter in June, so Southern Hemisphere will be a different ballgame to the Northern Hemisphere once winter hits. Although Aussie winter's not that bad. But yeah, no, I think it's At the moment, it's a bit chaos because it is impacting lives, and people are in ICU around the world, and people have died. And there's some countries where they can't fit enough people in hospitals, so people are bringing home bottles of oxygen to their relatives, and trying to get it so that people don't suffocate and all that. Like, Australia is very lucky. I mean, our politicians have done a good job, like our leaders and all that. But I'm sure there's also an element of luck to some of this stuff, and just our measures working as well as they have. There's science in it, but also, we've found gaps in our system, and it's just lucky that those didn't turn into bigger things. But yeah, no, there's all kinds of chaos around the world. But once that chaos settles a bit, I do think it'll be like a seasonal flu shot. You'll have a seasonal coronavirus shot as well. At least for those of us who get it every year. I get it every year, and I didn't turn out too crazy, did I? I didn't actually always used to get it, but the last few years I have. I think because I didn't really know how I was supposed to get it. Turns out you just go to your GP and be like, I want my flu shot. As long as it's the right time of year, I want my flu shot. Costs maybe like $10. And then the rest is on med. Oh, I suppose it depends who you go to. But my doctor, it cost, I think, about $10. And then the actual consult is on Medicare. Yeah, no. So actually, that's something I'm going to do later this year, is also get a flu shot. I don't know when I'll get my coronavirus vaccine, but I'll get my flu shot. I don't know. The world is just nuts. Like, there's also like political stuff going on, and I don't want to. Isn't the coronavirus a kind of flu? No, the flu virus is a different virus. But there are other coronaviruses that aren't anywhere near as bad as COVID. But whether we continue to call it COVID, I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know how they name things, like, and we just call it the flu shot, but is it a particular flu strain? I don't know. I feel like there's going to be the same sort of thing. But it's not. It's a different virus, which is like, if it was the same as the flu, then I would be pushing for Trump's idea of calling it Kung Flu, because like, that's genuinely kind of clever. He's a bit of a dumbass, but like, when it comes to the words like that, I'm like, yeah, I can get on board with Kung Flu. But unfortunately, it's a coronavirus, and that's why we can't use that one. Political correctness aside, I would have been on board with that, But yeah, no, there's so much stuff going on in America. Like, you see all that popping up on the news there. They're doing the whole impeachment thing and whatever. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait till it's all done and we can just move on. I mean, Biden's pretty boring, but maybe we just need a bit of boringness out of America for a bit, because like, it's too much. I don't need America on the news every day. It's just, I've got politics fatigue in the same way that I've got environmentalism fatigue and whatever other cause you want to insert fatigue. I don't know. Maybe I have news fatigue. I definitely watched a lot more news last year because, when shit hit the fan and we locked down in Australia and the Prime Minister is giving updates and all that kind of stuff, I started watching more news to keep up with it. And I'm following a few of those like health pages on Facebook and whatever. And but now things have calmed down. How much do I really need to pay attention? But you never know when an outbreak's going to happen. Like the Northern Beaches one was a bit crazy for a bit. America will never be boring as long as they have Florida Man. Yeah, Florida Man. Oh my God. America's superhero, Florida Man. Oh man. Maybe Trump was the real America, and now Biden is just a doddering old fool to trick us into believing America isn't Trump. Yeah, well, I do think that Trump was an inevitable end point of what America already was. But I think in a way he's also like a reset point, because some people have realized like, wow, crazy shit can actually happen. Like, I think for a while, I mean, I haven't paid attention to American politics that long. Like 2016, I was depressed, and that's when a lot of that chaos was happening. So I happened to be watching then just because I was too depressed to do anything else. Before that, I didn't really pay much attention to politics. It's only like once I stopped working and couldn't do anything else, and I'm just on YouTube and this stuff keeps popping up, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. So I don't really know what America was like before, but I do hear some people, especially conspiracy theorists, they talk about how, the establishment runs everything. And, you have people like George Carlin who think it doesn't matter whether or not you vote because it's rigged he had his own way of saying it's rigged. But his idea was that it was rigged by the establishment and like the corporations and so on. And so, especially because voting isn't compulsory in America, I feel like before Trump, a lot of people were like, it doesn't matter whether you vote or not. There's already like a set outcome kind of thing. But then Trump comes in and he's not that corporate America, like shoe-in kind of thing. And, he's running against Hillary, who is that establishment. And he's this complete nutcase who like doesn't follow any of the norms and so on. He's on bloody Twitter, or he was, and he just says all this dumb crap and gets away with it. And then I think like that for some Americans, that's like sort of a reset point, because then they're like, oh, it's not what George Carlin said. There actually are other things that can happen. It's just that it didn't occur to anyone to try, and somehow Trump managed to get enough of that following. And so people are sort of like, shit, maybe we should vote. And maybe we should try and change things. Like, because he was so crazy, he's kind of spurred people to do more. Now, the Democrats are masters of shooting themselves in the foot, but with the chaos that Trump brought, that kind of helped the Democrats. They just got to try not to shoot themselves. They could just, I don't even know. So, like, Trump's sort of a logical endpoint of like a bunch of other crap in America that we all know, like America's just a crazy place. But he's also a reset point to make people take politics seriously, take that kind of thing seriously again, if they ever did. I don't know. So I think, like, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Biden, because he is that. Will Trump run in 2024? Well, I mean, the chances of 17 Republicans crossing the floor to vote with the Democrats to impeach him are pretty low. So they're not going to be able to disqualify him from running, I don't think. And so he might run again. And I feel like for Republican strategy, maybe they should just impeach him so that they get rid of that competition and they can focus on Republican things again. But they're all worried about their individual seats and whether or not they're going to get kicked out for upsetting the Trump base. And so instead of thinking like a party with strategy, they're thinking as individuals, and they don't want to lose their jobs. They don't have the guts to kick him out. I'd say so, and I hope he gets back in. I don't know. It's a bit too much excitement, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Because like the other thing is like Trump versus Biden running last year. Like, it's two really, really old men. Like, is Trump still gonna be alive in 2024? Like, who knows? He has one KFC too many and dies of a heart attack. Like, I mean, is Biden even gonna last that long? We don't know. Hell knows if Bernie will last that long and decide to run again. That would be interesting, because like I think he's older. Is he older than both of them? I don't even remember. But yeah, like the whole election was just old men, and I'm like, all right, guys. The biggest thing we need in Western politics is term limits. America has term limits. Might be older. And I prefer Australia's system. Like, I don't have a desire to vote for a president. It would be nice to see some young. Yeah, I was going for the Asian dude. What's his name? Yang. Just because he was kind of funny. I didn't really look deeply into his policies, but I found him interesting and amusing. Maybe I have a bit of bias from being half Asian. I don't know. Presidential, but not congressional or senatorial. Yeah, Yang. Yeah, no, I prefer Australia's. I mean, every now and then the should we be a republic debate comes up. But the Queen's just a symbol. Like, she doesn't do anything. She's like the Japanese emperor. They don't do anything. They're more like they're just public figures. The Queen has no power in Australia. Like, she apparently she had a visit here. Was it to Adelaide? I can't remember what year either. And they had like a session and they tried to get her to sign a piece of legislation, but she said, like, I can't do that because, like, legally Queen has no power in Australia. You have to get the what is it at state level, not Governor General, whatever the state equivalent is, I forget. I think that's the person who has to sign it. The Queen's representative has to sign it, but the Queen herself can't. It's fucking hilarious. But so people get upset because, like, oh, a queen in another country is our head of state. But she's just a symbol. She has no power. And it means that we don't end up in an America situation. Chancellor, no, it's not Chancellor. I forget. It's something, it doesn't matter that much because they're not really a figurehead. Like, you never see them, really. The only one that got high profile was the guy who kicked out Whitlam. I think that was John Kerr, and he basically got run out of the country. And that was back before the Governor General had to be Australian. Now it has to be someone who's actually Australian. Yeah, so that's a thing. But yeah, no, I think if, like, voting for a president and, like, someone who has that much power, I think it's just a bad idea. It's better to have, you know, this more like the parliamentary system that we've got. And so, like, the prime minister is our leader, even though our head of state is supposedly someone else, but that's just a figure. So our prime minister is our leader, and he's the leader of the party. And so if the polls turn against him, the party knifes him in the back, and that's how we end up with like a gazillion prime ministers in a few short years. Oh, dear, oh dear. And then we can make jokes about how long our prime ministers last. But I think actually ScoMo, because he won that, like, basically unwinnable election, because Labour shot themselves in the foot, which Albo seems intent on doing again. Yeah, no, I think Scott Morrison might be the one to end the trend of PMs constantly being knifed by their own party. I think they'll probably keep him in longer, as long as he doesn't make any major screw-ups. So it's always possible. But yeah, no, I think he's sort of broken that trend by accident initially, and then the way the coronavirus thing, the response has gone, I think earned him a lot of points in the general public and in the party. So yeah, I think he'll stick around. But, you know, like, it's easier to get rid of a leader who's gone crazy. I mean, the most recent one that I can think of in my living memory is Tony Abbott, and thankfully he didn't have a majority in the Senate, so the worst of his policies got blocked, and then eventually, like, the party just got so fed up with him, we kicked him out a couple years ago. I mean, like, because I lived in his electorate, we kicked him out. I kicked him out. I usually vote independent, but I have to vet them all because, like, there's always like 10 people on the ballot here. Some electorates get like 3, usually Liberal, Labour, and maybe the Greens. But we get like Liberal, Labour, the Greens, the Animal Justice Party, some random guy who seemingly advocates Sharia law, blah, 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 blah. And because of those weird extras, like there's so I vet every single candidate and preference them, and the Liberals don't end up on the bottom, surprisingly, because there's always someone crazier. You need to fight one man to claim Australia. His name is Francis John. Australia and the Commonwealth. There is a small chance we might elect a right-wing government. Well, Australia tends to vote Conservative, but then again, our right wing is nowhere near as bad as in some other countries, because everyone in Australia has to vote, the major parties have to stay closer to the centre. Because Tony started pushing things further to the right, and that's caused a bit of a backlash. And so, but then they had Turnbull, and Turnbull is very much a centrist candidate, like to the point that some people thought he should be in Labour, the Labour Party. And he was just such a flake. Like, he finally got the top job again, finally got to be prime minister, but he was so scared of the right wing that he had to shift himself to the right. And he was just he was such a disappointment. You know, if he'd gotten in the first time, that might have been fine. But no, he got back in when the right wing were too strong and he was too scared and weak to do anything. ScoMo, I think, is probably a better compromise candidate. But we have elections in a couple of months. Well, as long as you're not snowed in. Well, what do you do if everyone's frozen to death? Do you still vote? The snow in Europe, and specifically in the Netherlands as well, made the news tonight as well. To clarify, that man is the Queen's champion. As a citizen of the Commonwealth, you can challenge the right to rule, and if you insist, you're going to fight the champion. If you kill him, you rule the realm 100%. I think I've heard something like that. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I guess we might vote digitally. We still vote with paper. We vote very low tech. I don't know. It works for us, though. Voting's compulsory in Australia, or at least it's compulsory to show up to vote. You don't necessarily have to fill out the ballot. There are people who draw ridiculous things all over their ballots, or, put an extra box and write Batman. Great way to get your name out there for a new band. Like, kill the Queen's champion. We vote with paper as well, but okay, yeah. No, I think with coronavirus, like, if it was a problem here, we'd probably just do mail-in. Like, with the gay marriage thing, we did a mail-in plebiscite. So not a referendum, not a proper vote. It was just a sort of, here's what the people want. It's like a glorified poll, an expensive one and a pointless one, because, like, it was always going to happen. But it's been done. Could maybe do it again. But I think for trust issues, we tend to just have everyone turn up to a voting station with a barbecue going. That's how you lure Aussies out. I mean, carrot and stick, right? The stick is that if you don't vote or turn up to vote and get your name marked off, if you don't turn up, you get fined some tiny amount. I think it's not even that big, although it depends what state you're in, I think. So if you don't vote, that's the stick. And then the carrot to get you to vote is they have a barbecue. And, if anyone knows about the Bunnings sausage sizzles, that's how you get people to go to a hardware store as well. You have a barbecue. Aussies we can be simple people sometimes, but, we're chill. And then when we have to, we can be serious. Like with coronavirus, when the restrictions happened and all that, most of us were like, right, let's do this, well behaved. There's only a small number of people who were douchebags not getting with the problem, but for the most part, Aussies, like, we work together in our own way, except for the people who hoard too much toilet paper. But there's always some wankers out there who just can't figure it out. Anyway, no, I like Australia's system. I think there are other places where there are different systems. Like, we've got preferential voting, so you order your preferences. So if your first pick doesn't get in, your vote then floats to your second pick. And so they might not have been winning, but then if they get your second vote, they might actually move up. And it works well. But I think New Zealand has proportional voting, which tries to get everyone a bit of representation one way or another. And, it sounds interesting. I think there's problems with all voting systems, but either preferential voting or their proportional voting, I think, are probably like the top two out there, maybe. I'm sure there's others I've forgotten, but yeah, Australia and New Zealand seem to have things reasonably sorted. I guess because we're younger countries, in terms of the whole modern civilization kind of thing. So we developed our systems later, whereas somewhere like America, they designed their political system hundreds of years ago. And so, of course, it has flaws in it because they haven't updated it, whereas we took a bit longer to get to it. And by then, presumably, better theories were around and we've sort of, adapted to that a bit better. So that's an advantage we have as a younger country. Fuck knows about the UK. The UK is just such a mess. And, like, their current that they're trying to copy our hotel quarantine, but in this dodgy, watered down way, and they haven't even got, like, they're not even locking down properly from what last I heard anyway. I think they have been doing lockdowns, but they just don't seem to be doing it right. But hey, I'm just some random on the internet. My opinion doesn't matter, My life choices didn't lead me to a place of influence. me and my master's degree in sitting around being useless. Entertaining, perhaps, but like in a traditional sense, useless. Oh man. All right. Well, so we've gone for more than 2 hours successfully without internet problems. Does anyone want to throw a topic at me as my voice starts to get tired and I start to pine for bed? If you throw a topic at me, maybe I'll rant for a little bit longer. If not, I might just go crash into bed. Although I've got a couple of emails I need to sort out. Samsung keeps sending me these emails to, hooray! Samsung keeps sending me these emails like of different features on my phone. So like that's useful because when I did my S7 Edge, that's my first smartphone ever, and I just had to work it out. I mean, I'd already knew a bit because I had to help other people with their smartphones, particularly when I was at Officeworks, connecting their phones to the photo machines. So like, I had seen a few, and I also had my iPod Touch. So the basics, I guess, but like there's still things I'm pretty sure it does that I just didn't know about. And, the new phone is teaching me a little bit that I probably should have looked for that as a feature on the phone. And, that Jerry Rig Everything channel. I watched his teardown of the S7 Edge, and now I understand why the charge port on that was so hard to fix. And it's because like the way that it's put in there, I think the only way to really replace just the charge port is to remove the entire screen, which can crack really easily. I think the guys who repaired my phone, though, replaced an entire board, and because of that problem. And it also looks like such a complicated phone to open up and repair. And so, like the fact that they were able to repair it at all, because it was hard to find someone willing to repair it. And then they actually did it without breaking my screen. Just they broke my sound a little bit, but I got an extra year of use out of it. So yeah, for $100, I think. And so I didn't have to buy an S20 series. I was able to wait until this one, which has less problems. It's funny, like I just touch the screen like that, and it detects that my fingerprint is there. Like on the other one, you'd have to wake it up. Anyway, Samsung keeps sending me these tips. And most of it I know because like I read about the phone before I got it, and watched like those early reviews from the tech guys who get the early models. But yeah, no, I've been reading those because I'm like, they might actually tell me something that I don't know. Wouldn't that be exciting? Or like remind me of something that I forgot about. And then the other email I need to look at is something to do with YouTube. I got into like some testing program, or like it's like a feedback, so they want me to do a survey. So that could be interesting, but I'm not allowed to talk about what's in it. So yeah, I wasn't even sure that I was in the program until I got that one saying, here's your first thing to do. So yeah, because like the wording of some of the emails was a bit odd, and I thought, oh, maybe they were assessing applications. But no, I'm in some like weird YouTube testing program, so I'll see what they've got. What are your aspirations? Do you want a paying career from YouTube and such? Or do you want to go on to some sort of tree artisan or something? Well, so my current situation, I work 1 day a week at Bonsai, maybe a half day extra, and then I do my finance job. And then I report to Centrelink, and Centrelink pays me a little bit of money, which I avoided Centrelink after my experience with them when I was depressed, but because of the pandemic, I got back in the system, and they sent me like a pensioner card or something, which was very confusing. So I was able to get a gold opal, which is nice, but like trying to sort out that is when I found out that they've assessed me as being able to work 20 hours a week, which is half like a full-time capacity. So Centrelink know that I'm messed up. And it helps now. It didn't help when I was depressed because I could not work 20 hours a week then. I was so messed up. But so basically at the moment, because they've assessed me at that, I actually only have to work 15 hours a week to keep them happy and get a little bit of pocket money from them. And of course, the money from my jobs. And so if they keep that assessment, I think it's a permanent assessment. If they keep that assessment, that sort of influences what I might do with my life, because like, I don't think it's wrong for them to assess me as 20 hours a week, because I am a nutcase and a mess. And like, I've just had to accept the fact that I'm mentally ill. So I've got to be careful about what I try to do, because like I'm fine now, but that's because my situation is so chill. If I try and get like a 9-to-5 job or something, there's a damn good chance that I would collapse into depression again. So I've got to be very careful about what I do with my career. So with that in mind, with my aspirations, like, I don't know that it's an aspiration, but what I'm sort of kind of hoping for my life, trying to figure out things with my life and how do I handle things in a more realistic way rather than an aspiration. So I keep working my bonsai job. The finance job will go away at some point. I'm just not sure when. And so the idea is I because my boss is willing to take me on more, probably will start working a little bit more in bonsai and eventually maybe transition completely from the bonsai finance split to just all bonsai for my 15 hours a week that I have to do to keep the government happy. And then with the extra time that I have, if I can get YouTube going a bit more, that would be nice. At the moment, I feel like I don't have enough time because with the work from home, the finance stuff, like when I get up in the morning on a not bonsai day, it takes me a while to get going. It takes my brain a while to get going. It's just for some reason, like I can wake up one day a week, but the rest of the week, it's more difficult. So the problem with the finance job is it's a couple of hours pretty much every day that I'm not doing bonsai, even on the weekend sometimes. And it's just these small little hours. So I've just woken up, I've had lunch, and then I get into this and it takes ages. And then I've got like no energy. And so it's hard to do things like YouTube. I'm hoping that when I do more bonsai, I might be able to do more YouTube on the days that I don't have anything going on. So we'll see how that goes. Now with bonsai, it is a bit harder on my body than the finance. The finance, I just sit here and do whatever. But bonsai, like tomorrow, I will be very dead. It depends a little bit on what I've been doing. I think if it's a lot of close-up work, like working on a juniper, especially a big juniper, and I've had to concentrate on something very close for a long time. And, my eyesight is so bad, I can only see to about there before it gets blurry. And like, I need to see clearly when I'm doing bonsai. There's that fine detail work, with my glasses on, and the glasses stop the things from flying into my eye if I miss, if I get something wrong. I think those days I'm more likely to wake up with a headache the next day. And then if I've been carrying a lot of stuff, I think I'm getting better at carrying stuff safely or leaving it to my boss to carry because, he can carry more than me. But sometimes if I've been carrying a lot of heavy stuff, I think I accidentally tense my head. So the next day I wake up with a bit of a headache. So, I mean, if I'm working 15 hours a week at bonsai, that'll either be my Wednesday, and then Thursday I'm a bit broken. And then either another full day on a different day, or perhaps maybe 2 half days. And I'm not sure how that's going to affect my energy levels at this point. Like, this is how broken I am. I have to think about my energy levels. But I mean, that's just the reality of like the brain, the body I'm stuck with. So when I'm thinking when I transition to more bonsai, hopefully it'll all work out in terms of, my energy. And then I could have like specific days where I could just work on YouTube stuff, along with maybe my own bonsai and music, because those are on my priority list. But I have put YouTube further to the top of the things that I feel I should be working on, especially with music feeling like less of a priority and less of an urgent kind of thing. So, sorry. My voice is getting a bit tired, so I will have to wrap this up soon. Having a bit of dust or something. But yeah, so bonsai will probably be a big part, especially because my boss is going to need more help because, you know, it's a family business and the business is evolving. And it's hard to find staff for something as specialized as bonsai. And like, I don't consider myself that advanced. So like, even like I've already been working there a couple years and I still don't feel like I'm, you know, to find someone who's that advanced and can work those kinds of things, I think is going to be difficult. So I feel like, you know, I will be there for a while. I have no plans to move on anytime soon because, like, what would I do? So it would be nice if I could have YouTube on the side. So luckily, like, you know, I'm still living with my parents. They have no plans to kick me out. So that's good. I'm making some money with my casual jobs. And then I get a little bit extra money from Centrelink. And that all helps. And that makes me feel a bit more secure about my financial future because I do worry about that sometimes. And worrying about finances does make me, like, I can get depressed if I focus on that too much. So I think one of the reasons I'm so stable right now is because I have my finances looking okay for the next while. But there's always volatility in that. And so, yeah, I do think if I can get YouTube to a point where like I'm making a little bit of pocket money, that would be nice. I don't know about like a paying career. I'm calling it pocket money for the moment. Just like, you know, a little bit extra to help add to things. I mean, it would be nice if like I could do enough YouTube to actually pay for stuff and like get to a point where Centrelink is like, you're making too much money, we're not going to give you anything. That would be really nice. Like have bonsai, because I don't think YouTube would ever be full-time for me. Like you have to be very polished and manufactured to have a full-time job as a YouTuber and like a team of people behind you. And I'm not that. I'm just like a random at home doing what I want. And if you try and make me do something, I do my own thing. You know, you can't tie me down into that. I don't want to be a polished YouTuber. I just want to be some random who talks about stuff and hopefully people find it interesting or helpful or whatever. But so like, you know, YouTube will likely never be my full-time thing or like my main earning thing or my only earning thing. I might just get to a point where like I can do it like as a part-time thing, and then I have my bonsai, and then that rounds me off for just enough work to keep me going with or without Centrelink, just to have some stability. Yeah, I think I really need to rest my voice, especially because like I've managed to get some kind of dust or something at the back of my throat. Or maybe that's just from me using my voice too much. Yeah, so like it would be nice to make some money off YouTube, but I'm also a realist, so I think the most realistic thing is I do more bonsai, and then Centrelink tops me up. And for who I am and the psychological problems that I get, COVID dust. No, I think it's just from talking too much, and there's dust in the room always. You know, like even on the bottom of my mouse, you know, it's pretty gross. Yeah, it can be hard to kind of like think, gee, like I have an actual problem, but you know, with health stuff, like there's only so much you can do, and so I've sort of figured out what my limits are and what I need to try and be stable. And finances, like as long as I have them at a certain level, I think I'll be okay. If it goes too low, that's when I panic and I'm likely to get depressed and fall in a heap. But at the moment, things are acceptable for me. You know, like I'm not making mega bucks, but I'm also not losing heaps of money. I'm just at this stable level where I can pay the things I need to, particularly Hope's vet bills. I can pay my private health insurance because I'm crazy enough to do that. And then beyond that, I don't have a huge number of bills. Okay, just helps to have an idea of where people are so I know how to approach them in conversation. Okay. Yeah, no, I have been actually thinking about, you know, my future and all that. It worries me a bit because, like, you know, my parents won't be around forever. So at some point I do have to get more of a strategy. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm not too like one of the previously, like I didn't want to be on Centrelink, not just because they treated me badly. Like even before that, it just didn't feel right and all that. But now that I've accepted the mental health problems I've got, and the fact that I'll likely never have a proper full-time job and be able to support myself in that way, right now I feel like yes, I'm in a very lucky situation where I'm not going to be homeless if I don't have an income. But the way I see it is like I don't feel guilt about being on Centrelink anymore, because I realize in my future things could change. So I need to save as much money as I can now. I didn't have enough money to put into shares when COVID hit, and now it's too late. But when the next, financial panic happens, I might have some money set aside to be able to put into some more shares and see if that'll grow a bit, and sort of just thinking about saving money in that way so that in the future, maybe I won't have work and maybe I won't have my parents supporting me. Maybe I'm trying to have at least something to keep me going for a bit, and we'll see. I try not to think too much about the future, but if I can save more now. I mean, every now and then I spend on something, but even when I spend big, I tend to still have some left over to be like, I'm like, okay, this is an acceptable like emergency fund kind of thing. So like it would be nice to make money off YouTube, especially because like then I'm working for myself. Essentially, I'm working from home. And I have a bit more control over it. Whereas working for other people, there's always like these variables that are difficult to manage. So yeah, YouTube would be a really good one for me, but it's just like realistically, because I'm chaos, maybe not going to happen. I don't have that drive to polish it up into some manufactured. Do you remember when like they changed to the new YouTube profiles instead of the old ones that you could customize? That sort of sanitized thing. Oh. Anyway, I've got to rest my voice, I think. But last chance if anyone has an urgent question. Otherwise, I need to chill out, go to bed, recover. Yeah, no, I guess on the topic of money, if anyone wants to join my Patreon until I can get like memberships going, and Patreon's better in the sense that more money actually comes to me, whereas YouTube takes a bigger cut. I've also got like PayPal links, and yeah. So, if people want to randomly send me money and help me out with all this stuff, that's very appreciated. But, with YouTube, the fun thing for me is like just getting to say what I need to say, like getting stuff off my chest. This live stream has been good after 2 live streams that didn't work, because I finally got to say a lot of stuff, and now I feel a bit more relaxed. Because, it's just like, if stuff goes around my head, I just need to get it out sometimes, and then I feel better. Like I may not have solved my problems, but I've got it out into the air instead of stuck in my brain. So yeah, that's what I really started YouTube for, is just to, like a video diary, get stuff off my chest. And I didn't expect people to find it interesting. Apparently I've helped people like with some psychology stuff. There's people who are into asexuality, like trying to learn about it, and I apparently helped some of them. And then I've helped people fix their computers with my 4 beeps code video. So yeah, YouTube's been a really interesting one, but I have no desire to turn it into a corporate, polished, sterilized thing. I want to keep doing what I always do, which is just whatever videos I want to make, whatever I want to get off my chest, whatever creative outburst I need. And Taylor Swift for you guys. Anyway, go to bed, look after yourself, get some sleep. Yeah, I'm going to go. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Not sure if I've got any videos coming out before then, because I might take a break while I work on this music video and just try and get it done. But thanks for hanging out with me for more than 2.5 hours. See you guys when I see you. End stream. Your stream will stop immediately and no longer be live. I feel like I do this every time. Bye. Whatever my outro is. Like, comment, subscribe, share, notification bell, give me money, listen to my music on Bandcamp, blah 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 blah. See you guys.